The girl lay still on the frozen gravel, her breath shallow, eyes locked on the stars above the tree line. Her lips were cracked, her coat too thin, and her limbs barely responding. A distant train horn called through the mountains, but she didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She simply waited. Then came the sound, soft paws crunching snow. A shadow moved beside her. Warmth. Fur. Wait. A dog lay down against her. Heart thudding like a drumbeat in the silence. He didn't leave. He just stayed. And when a flashlight flickered through the trees, it wasn't her voice that called for help. The call came in just after 4 a.m. Female, possibly a minor. Last seen near mile marker 11, on the rail line through Larkspur Ridge. Dispatch crackled. Reported missing 3 days. Weather's dropping fast. Deputy Caleb Rowe grunted, wiping cold coffee from his lip and grabbing his coat. Anyone searching already? Just a civilian report. Woman walking her mutt past the trestle bridge said she heard barking and maybe crying. Rowe paused. What kind of mutt? Didn't say. Just that the dog wouldn't budge from the tracks. He exhaled sharply. Copy. I'm 10 minutes out. Bringing K9. Outside, frost cracked beneath his boots as he opened the cruiser's back door. Up, he said softly, and Bo, a thick-furred German shepherd with tired eyes, climbed in, settling into the seat with a low sigh. The stars hung low over the valley. Out here in Coldwater County, when someone vanished, they usually stayed that way. Deep woods, ravines, folks who kept to themselves. Caleb had been deputy long enough to know the cold took more people than violence ever did. Still, something in his chest wouldn't let this one go easy. The girl's name was Ivy Rhodes, 16, last seen at a truck stop gas station, one town over. Her mother had reported her missing after 2 days of silence, but no one had thought much of it. A runaway, they said, happens all the time. And Ivy wasn't a golden child. She had fights with her mom, failed classes, dated older boys. Hell, Caleb had once picked her up for shoplifting a box of cough meds from the pharmacy. But now she'd been out in the woods for 3 nights, and the temp had dropped below freezing. He flicked the siren once, not to clear traffic. There was none, but to wake up the dark. The road past the bridge was unplowed. Just a narrow shoulder with a patrol car idled, exhaust curling up like ghost breath. Bo leapt out without command, sniffing the air, his ears tilting like radar dishes. Caleb grabbed the flashlight and followed, boots crunching through snow-dusted gravel. The tracks curved like a spine through black trees. Then, a bark. Short, sharp, purposeful. Where is she? Caleb called, heart-thudding. Find her, boy. Bo sprinted ahead, stopping just where the track edge disappeared beneath frost-covered moss. He barked again, then lowered his body and crawled forward, whining. And there she was, half buried in snow, face pale, lashes iced. A girl. Her coat was torn. Her lips were bloodless. But it wasn't her that had barked. It was the other dog, a scrappy, mud-brown mutt-curl type beside her, shielding her from the wind. Not barking now, just growling low, like Caleb was a threat. Easy, Caleb whispered, lowering to one knee. I'm here to help. The mutt didn't move, just stared, chest heaving, one ear torn and stiff with dried blood. Bo inched closer, tail low, eyes wary. The growl deepened. Not your typical stray, Caleb muttered. Loyal, though. Damn loyal. He edged closer. Ivy stirred. Mama, she mumbled. Ivy, Caleb said. You're going to be all right. Just hold on. I've got you. He wrapped her in a blanket, radioed dispatch for a medical evac, and lifted her gently. The mutt followed every movement, padding beside them with wet, cracked paws. I don't know where you came from, Caleb said to the dog, but you might have just saved her life. Coldwater General Hospital, 7:12 a.m. Ivy was still unconscious, but alive. Mild hypothermia, a fractured wrist, dehydration, minor frostbite, all survivable. Caleb sat in the lobby, styrofoam cup of burnt coffee in his hand, watching the mutt pace in the parking lot. It had refused to stay in the car, whined until someone let it out, then just waited, eyes fixed on the glass doors like it expected someone to walk through any minute. Bo sat beside him, calm but alert, watching too. You ever seen a stray do that? Caleb asked, mostly to himself. Bo gave no response. The mutt had no tags, no chip, no collar, just a red rope tied around its neck, like someone had pulled it from a junkyard and given up halfway through the adoption. Nurse Jennings walked over, rubbing her arms. She's stable, still out, but the doctor says she probably would have gone into cardiac arrest if that dog hadn't kept her body heat up. Damn, Caleb muttered. She asked for you when she came in. Just your name. Officer Rowe. Said it once before she passed out. He stared at her. She know I was coming? Doesn't sound like it. Think she was half dreaming. He nodded slowly, gut churning. Ivy's mom coming? He asked. Jennings hesitated. Tried her twice. No answer. Of course. 3 days later. Ivy awoke. She didn't say much the first day. Just drank water. Stared out the window and let the mutt curl at the foot of her bed like it belonged there. On day 2, Caleb visited again. He brought a bag of dog food, some vet samples, and a name tag from the station that just said dog in black marker. He's not leaving your side, Caleb said, sitting down. Think you've been adopted. Ivy didn't laugh, but her eyes flicked toward him. He's not mine. Could have fooled me. She hesitated. He was just there when it got dark. He studied her. You know how you ended up that far out? Tracks are 10 miles from anywhere. She looked away. I walked. I think. You think. I was trying to get to Gray Pines. That's where my dad used to live. I thought he might still be there. Caleb exhaled. Your dad's been gone 4 years. I know. Silence. I wasn't running, she said softly. Not at first. You get in a fight with your mom? Ivy nodded. She hit you? No response. Just a long blink. Then, I don't want to talk about her. Caleb studied the bruising beneath her sleeve. He'd seen it before. She'd fallen through the cracks. He'd let her. I should have checked in on you sooner. Ivy didn't answer, but for the first time, she reached down and placed her fingers gently on the mutt's back. He didn't stir. Just breathed steady, like he knew she needed him more than food or water. Later that night, Caleb drove home with Bo riding shotgun. The sky was a bleeding shade of lavender and coal. Pines swayed in the wind, but his mind stayed fixed on the girl's words. He was just there. Dogs didn't just appear. Not way out there. Not alone. And the torn rope around its neck. Back at the station, he logged into the old system. Started looking through missing pet reports from the past year. Then from the year before that. He didn't find the mutt. Not exactly. But he did find something else. A case from 12 years ago. Girl, 8, found frozen near the same tracks. Her body was curled in the snow, but something had chewed the rope off her wrist. A dog's paw prints were found nearby, leading into the woods. No dog was ever recovered. The girl's name was Emily Rhodes, Ivy's sister, and Ivy was only 4 when it happened. Caleb leaned back, blood running cold. The same family, the same place. And now another girl nearly dies, only to be saved by a mutt with rope around its neck and a torn ear. Couldn't be the same dog, not 12 years later. Could it? At the hospital, Ivy sat up in bed. The hallway was quiet, the world dim. She whispered softly to the mutt. Emily had a dog. I don't remember much. Just that she loved him. Said he'd never leave her. The mutt raised his head. I think. She ran a trembling hand down his back. I think he didn't. Deputy Caleb Rose stared at the old report again. Emily Rhodes, 8, found deceased near mile marker 11. Cause of death, hypothermia. Restraint marks on wrists. Rope burn. Animal traces nearby. The case file smelled of dust and copier ink. Faded to that off-white the county archives called archival beige. The girl had vanished one October morning, and her body was found 4 days later. The only oddity noted, dog prints beside her corpse. Large, deep, fresh, despite the frost. The final note read, no family dog reported. No animal found. Rope was partially chewed through. Caleb shut the folder. He remembered it now, vaguely. He'd only just joined the force then, and the Rhodes case had gone cold before it ever really opened. Ivy had been too young to testify, and their mother, Wendy Rhodes, had drowned herself in drink and silence. Emily's death had been ruled accidental. A runaway, lost and frozen. But now, two sisters. Same tracks. Same age. Same season. And a dog that shouldn't exist still walking the snow. Coldwater General, room 213. Ivy sat up, bruises blooming faintly across her collarbone. The mutt, unnamed, unclaimed, lay curled under the bed. He only emerged when Caleb stepped in. He watches everything. Ivy said, "He's got a reason," Caleb replied, nodding toward the bandages on her wrist. "That rope? Same kind from your sister's report." Ivy looked down. I don't remember her well. Just flashes. Laughter. A yellow dress. Caleb, Saturday. Your mom never talk about Emily? No. Her voice went hard. She pretended Emily never existed. Caleb hesitated. Did she ever talk about your father? Ivy shook her head. She said he left because we weren't enough. Because Emily ruined him. He folded his arms. Ivy, do you remember anything else in the night you ran? I didn't run, she said, then paused. I think she tried to make me. My mom. There it was. The thing he hadn't wanted to say out loud. Wendy said you two argued, that you smashed a lamp and stormed out. Ivy's eyes welled, but no tears fell. She tried to tie my hands. Said she had to fix it this time. That the dog didn't finish the job last time. Her voice shook. I kicked her and ran. I didn't know where I was going. Just away. And the dog, I don't know. He was just there when I collapsed. Coldwater County Sheriff's Office. That night, Caleb unlocked the evidence locker. He wasn't supposed to. The Rhodes case was sealed, archived, forgotten. But the original rope was still there, now brittle, stained. He held it up beside the piece he'd taken from Ivy's wrist. Same make, same fraying pattern, same reddish fiber core. Not store-bought, not hardware grade. Homemade, like someone braided out of torn sheets or curtain cords. Caleb swallowed hard. He checked the dates. Ivy had been 4 when Emily died. Her mother had never been charged. She'd said Emily had wandered off. And now Ivy had nearly died the same way. Same place, same setup. Except this time, there was a witness with 4 legs and a torn ear. The house on Jessup Road. He didn't call for backup. Not yet. He just needed to see. The Rhodes house sat crooked on a hill, one porch light flickering like a dying eye. A truck Caleb didn't recognize was parked out front. Rusted red Ford. Tags expired. He knocked. Nothing. Then a scraping sound inside. A shadow. The door opened just a crack. Wendy Rhodes looked like a ghost held together by bourbon. Hair stringy, eyes red-rimmed, skin paper pale. Her robe was stained. Her fingers trembled. "You're not supposed to be here," she rasped. "Ivy said you hurt her." "She's lying." "Your daughter was tied up near the same place her sister died." "She tied herself." Wendy's voice turned thin, ragged. "Kids act out. You know how girls are." "She almost died, Wendy." Wendy licked her lips. She deserved it. The words hit the porch like a gunshot. Caleb stepped forward. "What did you say?" Wendy shrank back. "You don't get it." She screamed like Emily. Same shrill little voice. Said the dog was coming. Said I couldn't do it again. "What dog?" "The mutt. I saw him. 12 years ago. I tied her up and ran. Emily. But the dog found her. I went back the next morning, and he was laying next to her. He wouldn't move. Wouldn't leave her side. Like some kind of shadow." She looked up, smiling now, wild-eyed. "So I shot him. Right in the chest. Buried him in the ravine." Caleb couldn't breathe. "But he came back," she whispered. "He's been following me. I see him at night. Yellow eyes. Bloody chest. Laying by my bed. Waiting." She stepped forward suddenly, yanking her robe open. Scratch marks ran down her arms. Her wrists were bandaged. I thought if I did it right this time, he'd go away. Caleb backed out, hand on his radio. Ivy's in protective custody now. You're done hurting anyone. Wendy lunged. He caught her by the shoulder and cuffed her to the porch railing before she could grab the rusted garden shears at her feet. The whole time, she laughed. Coldwater Animal Shelter. 3 nights later. The dog still wouldn't eat unless Ivy fed him. They tried kenneling him briefly. He shredded the wire gate. When the vet came to check his teeth, he bared them and growled, not out of fear but possession. Guarding. Protecting. He's too wild to rehome, they told Caleb. He's not wild, Ivy said, stroking his side. He just doesn't want to be alone. Neither did she. Caleb stared through the glass, remembering the look on Wendy's face. Haunted, cursed, like she'd stared too long at something that should have stayed buried. Do you remember his name? He asked softly. Ivy didn't look up. I think it was Shadow. Caleb blinked. Why? I don't know. It just feels right. That night, Caleb drove back to the ravine. He parked, took a lantern, and climbed down into the hollow. The trees creaked around him, branches like brittle bones. The wind carried the distant sound of a train. He searched until dawn, and then he found it, a shallow depression in the soil. Beneath it, old bones. Small, canine. One rib snapped. Metal glinting in the dirt beside it. A bullet casing. Bo sat beside him, motionless. Caleb touched the cracked skull, whispering something only the forest heard. Then he covered it back up. The last morning, Ivy stood at the end of the hospital driveway, wind lifting her coat. The snow had melted. Sunlight touched the pine needles with gold. The mutt, Shadow, stood beside her, tail still, eyes alert. Caleb walked up with 2 coffees and handed her one. Your mom's been transferred to psychiatric care. County's pressing charges. I know. You okay? I think so. They stood in silence. Wind, birds, a passing crow. He's not just a dog, Ivy said. I believe you. She looked down. You're not going to make me give him up, are you? Caleb shook his head. He chose you. She nodded, then gave a faint smile. You ever think dogs remember things people forget? All the time. Later, Shadow sat in the passenger seat of Caleb's cruiser as he and Ivy drove down to the shelter just for paperwork. But as they passed the tracks, Shadow sat up, alert, ears perked, body tense. Caleb slowed. At mile marker 11, he stopped. Shadow leapt out without command. Ivy followed. They stood there in the clearing, just beyond where Emily had been found. A shape stirred near the trees. A fox. It darted out and vanished. Caleb exhaled, but Shadow didn't move. He walked slowly to the spot where the snow once held a girl's breath, and lay down, eyes on the tracks. Just like before. Just like always. The first night Ivy returned home, she left the front porch light on. The house on Jessup Road had gone still since Wendy's arrest. Inside, the air smelled of dust and disuse, the way a home does when trauma stops time. The refrigerator buzzed, half empty. The calendar still said October. Ivy walked through each room with slow, careful steps. Shadow padded close behind, paws silent on the scuffed linoleum. He sniffed the baseboards like he was hunting ghosts. She paused in the living room, the corner where Emily used to play, the stain in the carpet where the lamp had shattered, her mother's empty recliner. I don't want to stay here, Ivy whispered. Caleb stood in the doorway, watching her with a stillness only worn-down lawmen knew. You don't have to. County's setting up a temporary foster placement. Someone on the edge of town. Quiet place. Horse ranch. Will I get to keep him? Caleb looked at the mutt, now asleep, curled around the toe of Ivy's boot. I'll make sure of it. 2 weeks later. Coldwater moved on. It always did. The newspaper printed a short column. Mother arrested in 2009 cold case connection. No photos. No names. Just a byline. And a quote from the sheriff's office. New evidence led to the discovery of foul play in an old missing child case. But in town, everyone whispered. About the girl who almost died like her sister. About the dog that wouldn't leave her side. About the deputy who kept digging. Caleb ignored the stares. He wasn't in it for the headlines. He'd seen too many real victims buried under lazy conclusions. Emily Rhodes had deserved more than a checkbox labeled accidental. So had Ivy. She was staying out near Hill Creek now, with Mary Wilton, a retired vet tech and part-time horse trainer. Ivy helped muck stalls and lead the ponies. Shadow, despite his ragged fur and missing tooth, had taken to sleeping under the horses, fearless. Dog acts like he owns the damn land, Mary said once with a smirk. Won't let the coyotes come near. And yet, every day around dusk, he'd walk to the edge of the fields and sit, facing the mountains, as if he were waiting. One evening, just after sunset, Caleb parked on the gravel drive. Ivy met him by the gate, wiping her hands on her jeans. I was starting to think you forgot about me. Hard to forget the girl who's much chewed a hole through county procedure. He handed her a file, the finalized foster papers. She leafed through it, smiling faintly. Mary says I can stay through the school year. Caleb nodded. And after that? I don't know. College maybe. Or not. Just breathing feels big enough right now. Yeah, he said. I get that. They sat on the fence rail, watching the sky turn purple. Horses snorted in the paddock. Crickets stirred. Was it really her dog? Ivy asked after a long silence. Caleb didn't answer right away. I think it was someone's, he said. Maybe the kind of someone dogs don't forget. But how could he come back? After all that time? I don't know. He looked at her. Maybe it's not about how. Maybe it's about who needed him. Shadow trotted up then, dropping a pine cone at Ivy's feet, like it was a gift. She laughed softly. Thanks, bud. The mutt blinked, then walked over and rested his head in her lap. That night in a dream, Ivy saw the tracks again. Snow falling, thick and soundless. Emily stood just beyond the trees, in her yellow dress, eyes dark and full of quiet. And beside her, the same dog, younger, whole, clean. His fur glowed golden in the moonlight. Emily knelt and kissed his head, then looked up at Ivy and smiled. She found me, Ivy whispered. Emily nodded. You let him in. Then everything faded to white. 3 months later, spring came slow in Coldwater. Rain soaked the fields and the rivers swelled. Ivy stayed in school. Shadow grew stronger, filled out healed. His coat gleamed in the sun now like smoke and rust. But he still carried the wariness of an animal that had once slept beneath trees instead of roofs. One day, Mary found Ivy painting. An old, faded canvas, a railroad clearing, 2 girls, 1 dog. You're talented, Mary said. Ivy shrugged. I just wanted to remember her right. She'd be proud. Ivy looked up. I hope so. That night, they hung the painting in the barn. Shadow stared at it for a long time before curling beneath it. May 9th, Ivy's birthday. Caleb brought cake. The good kind, chocolate, thick icing, extra candles. 17 looks better on you, he said. I'm not sure I ever expected to hit it. You earned it. They ate beside the paddock while the horses dozed. Shadow roamed nearby, chasing bugs and barking at shadows. Then Ivy leaned in. There's something I never told you. Caleb stopped chewing. Yeah, I remember more. From that night, with my mom. He stayed quiet. She said something about the way Emily looked when she stopped breathing. Said she didn't cry. Said she just looked peaceful. Ivy stared out at the trees. I think she was trying to convince herself it was okay. Caleb nodded. People can lie to themselves until they forget who they are. Do you think my mom ever loved us? He didn't answer right away. Then, I think she hated herself more. Ivy looked down. That's not an answer. I know. She touched his hand briefly. Thanks for coming back. After all this time. He looked at her. You think I could have stayed away? They smiled, then didn't speak again. Final scene. Back at the tracks. Late one summer evening. Ivy walked the old rail line. Shadow at her side, leash loose. She came to mile marker 11. The trees swayed gently, and a crow passed overhead. The place looked different now. Not haunted, not holy, just quiet. She knelt by the tracks, pressed her hand to the gravel, and whispered, "Thank you." Shadow didn't bark. He just laid down beside her, resting his head on her thigh. Like before, like always,